I'm Abigail Doolittle. Joining me from the CBOE in Chicago is Scott Bauer with Prosper Trading Academy. Happy Friday to you, Scott. And, you know, it's interesting. We've had this big rally for stocks, but today we've got some wobbliness to the downside. Talk to us about oil. Oil earlier tried to take out its 50-day moving average, failed to do that. Maybe this risk rally that we've been seeing early this year is starting to falter?
You know, I think across the entire space, equities, oil, you know, I think the rally is just a little bit tired right now. I don't make a lot of that. In fact, looking at the VIX here, and the VIX pit is right behind me, you know, we're seeing a massive decline. But in regards to oil, I don't think fundamentals, technicals have really changed here at all. I just think the rally's a little bit tired.
So speaking of being a little bit tired, we have 3 up weeks for the S&P 500, the best streak since August. Knowing you don't have a crystal ball, but if you did, do you think that next week we could see a bit of a breather or even a sell-off, considering that we have some real earnings reports coming out?
Yeah, I actually do, Abigail. I think we are going to see a little bit of a sell-off. I don't think we're going to be anywhere near the lows that we saw, you know, after Christmas. But I do think we probably have a good 2 to 3% in us. That being said, though, you know, you look at the VIX and you look at the big sell-off in the VIX, that's not really indicating it that much. But there's still so much risk headline on the table.
What do you expect out of the financials, since they'll really be kind of kicking things off for the earnings season?
I'm actually very bullish in the financials, and you know, people will say, well, look where interest rates are, and that's how they make their money. I'm looking at the big guys that have trading revenues. In the last 6 months or so, last 3 months, we've seen volatility to the point where these guys should have some really, really significant trading revenues. I'm talking about the JP Morgans, Goldman Sachs, you know, those types of banks like that.
Turning now to your trade, oil falling today should be a tailwind, but so far it hasn't been over the last few months or so. Talk to us about your trade.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at Delta Airlines. They have earnings coming out. You know, Delta was down this week, and today just a little bit on the heels of the American Airlines news. I really like this stock, and there's some pretty good support just below here. So I'm going to sell a put spread going into earnings, 47.5, 46 put spread that expires next week. $1.50 wide. I can collect about 50 cents for that. If the stock does go down, I'm fine with that, because 47, which is my break even, Abigail, that's a spot I'd want to get long the stock anyway.
Great insights on oil, the broader markets, plus the airlines. Again, falling oil should help that. Scott Bauer, Prosper Trading Academy in Chicago, thanks so much for joining us for